Hey, this is the antisocial socialite back at it again. Thanks so much for tuning in. Salute to all the new subscribers and thank you so much for all the faithful viewers. If you have not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for, darling? Hit the subscribe button, smash that notification bell so when I get to running this mouth in this BITCH, sir, you're in the loop. You see the title, you know what time it is. I'm a female and I support Sysbm. Now, I'm not going to make this a very long video because there isn't really much to say. For those of you who are not aware, Sysbm stands for Save Yourself Black Man, and it's a concept and it's something that's been a long time coming. I was having an interesting conversation with a brother just yesterday, and he was like, we don't need to worry about what black women think because we're going Sysbm. He kind of forced my hand to make this video, so shout out to you. Why do I support Sysbm? The bottom line of the matter is black women are not going to fix the community. And sorry for the background noise and the wind. You know, it's not in the nature of women to think in a macro level. They don't think, or we don't think about long, far-reaching stuff. And that's not to say no women ever, not all, but the vast majority. We're more subjective thinkers, we're more emotional, we're more reactionary, and it's just like all we care about is our bubble and our immediate needs and wants. Men, on the other hand, they're more likely to think logically, they're more likely to think on a more of a macro style level, they're more likely to be critical, they're more likely to be thinking about legacy and the impact of their actions to those all around. Unfortunately, that's one of the reasons why the black community in the West is in the state that it's in, because we have a lot of female thinking individuals, whether male or female, and that mindset leads to indecisiveness, a lack of commitment, erratic behavior, inconsistency. And I've always been the kind of person who, I don't personally support interracial dating, but I do believe that if you find love with somebody of a different ethnic group or race, you just have to go for it, because life is way too short to be, you know, stuck trying to build something with somebody that doesn't want you. It's like, that would be like the the epitome of torture for me, being forced to try and love somebody who either I don't love or who doesn't love me. So I fully support the idea of black men going their own way and seeking love with women. Even though if you're an American black man with a non-ADOS black woman or with a non-black woman altogether. What a lot of people don't realize about Sysbm is it's not really just about the women. A lot of people always focus on black men going to women of other races, but that's not really what Sysbm is all about. You know, I've got an overbite, you know, I've got a lisp. Saying Sysbm a lot of times is a challenge. It's props to me for not biting my own tongue. Let's put these dentures back in. So people always focus on men going to women of other races, but actually the issue is not just leaving behind bad women, it's just leaving behind every bad situation possible, because you have men who support the matriarchy, you have men who fuel it, you have men who defend it because they benefit from it, and they also need to get left behind, because every effort that a decent black man is going to make, these kind of hood niggers and thugs and you know, just ghetto individuals, they are going to ruin and destroy everything you try to build. A lot of black people, they always like to use the white man as a scapegoat, and I believe in, if you're in America, they call it white supremacy. Here we just call it the system or institutional racism or racism. We know it's a reality, but there's another reality, which is some of our biggest enemies are our own black people. That's what happens when you do videos as you walk down the street. So, as a result of the fact that you're trying to build a functioning community, any and everybody who is not really about building, has to get left behind. There's a scripture in the Bible that says those who are not for us are against us. And you think, well, there are some people who are neither. But those people who are kind of standing on the line, they are the ones who can be swayed to go against you. They look like they're for one side, they look like they're for the other side. It's just about a matter of time before if they're not helping the cause, in some way they're likely to be harming it. Now, a lot of brothers are not really, running off in droves. Like, a lot of brothers are not literally picking up all their stuff and leaving their communities at the moment, because a lot of people don't migrate like that. But more and more men are realizing I'm not limited to just the women that I grew up with or the women that are in my immediate vicinity. I can move on. And I'm actually happy for them for that, because everybody deserves to be happy, including black men. And if you want to build a family, if you want to actually have a functioning community, you need functioning women. So women have to either abandon what they're doing and come on code, or they just have to watch their men going off and being happy with other people and just accept it is what it is. Because the man is the one who's going to fight. He's the one who's going to build. He's the one who's going to support. When you think about the roles and what's a man's job, every woman says to provide and protect, to provide and protect. Well, that comes at a cost. Protecting could cost that man his life. Protecting could cost that man his freedom. Obviously, providing is going to cost him his physical health, because he's got to go out and put himself through labor and stress every single day to bring home that paycheck. So it's not a small thing to say to a man, go and provide and protect for me. He's supposed to be a leader, which means when things go wrong, he's got to take responsibility. So it's not a small thing for a man to really be a good man and the head of a household. The last thing he wants is to come home to somebody who's just completely uncooperative and unsupportive. He already has enough challenges outside. He wants to come home to a safe haven and peace and love and, just order. And so I don't wrong black men for finding it very hard to date black women. And I mean, a lot of people also assume that a black man who's Sysbm doesn't want to date, if you're American, ADOS black women, if you're British, like he would never date a British black woman or whatever, or whichever country he's from. It's just saying men have freedom of choice. They want to start exercising that choice and going where they're appreciated, going where they're celebrated, going where they're respected, where they're valued, where they don't have to do, a multitude of things, jumping through a multitude of hoops just to try and impress a woman who doesn't really want them. So I'm really happy for guys. For me, Sysbm is kind of like a progression from MGTOW. I was going to do a separate video, but I'll just touch on it here, why I also support MGTOW. I did a video recently talking about, I blame black men for the state of the black community. And one of the biggest things that, is a real issue in the black community is how much black men worship sex. They get a lot of validation from their sexual conquest, and that puts them in a position where they can easily be manipulated. If you think that you're the top dog just because you've got some ass or whatever it is, it's like that's a low standard to measure yourself up against, because it's giving away. There's nothing spectacular about that. It's not an achievement. But obviously in a gynocracy or in a matriarchal setup, being able to brag about getting a lot of bitches is something that a lot of men think is something to write home about. And that's the kind of stuff that is backwards when it comes to the black community, because other ethnic groups don't see that as an achievement. So one of the reasons why I'm very happy for guys going MGTOW, especially younger men, is that they don't make a lot of the mistakes that they will probably make, because they're too busy being focused on progressing their own life, establishing themselves, getting to know who they are, because a lot of men don't realize their prime years are not the same as the woman's prime years. This is where they trip up. A man's prime years are when he hits his late 20s, early 30s. So he's not supposed to be measuring his manhood by how many females he's getting in his teens or early 20s. Because, okay, the experience is good, maybe dating is good or whatever, or understanding female nature from a practical aspect, okay, whatever. But in terms of your masculinity, it should never be defined by, women, whether that's how many you have, or how many you've been with, or what caliber they're at, in terms of SMV, how physically attractive they are. Your masculinity should be defined by other men and doing masculine tasks, actual masculine things like holding down a job, getting an education, stacking your money, traveling, whatever it is that you need to do to build yourself up as a man. And so once you've kind of reached that realization of who you are as a man, and you're looking at your options, of course. And my last point is this: a lot of people don't realize that the dudes who are Sysbm, a lot of them don't really come under the acronym. It's not like a move that has a leader and a banner per se. I mean, all right, then people might say Mad Bus Driver X is the leader and he's the one who coined this whole movement. But a lot of men years ago, once they realized, I can't work with this woman, they just said, I get on with this woman, I'm going to go for it. So a lot of guys have kind of been putting themselves first and finding happiness wherever they can, long before, we had this online movement called Sysbm. I'm happy for the brothers. I hope that they find love. I hope they find peace. It's a shame because, I don't really like seeing any black people with white people or non-black people, but it is what it is. Everybody wants to be happy and life is way too short. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Are black men selling out the black race? Are black men letting the race down? Are they betraying the race? Do they just need to self-improve and work a bit harder to get the black woman on check? Is the black woman out of pocket because of the black man's actions? Like, share and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.